What you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
What exactly does an aging life care manager do, and when should families consider one? In this episode, we break down the care management process, how it differs from home care, warning signs that care management may be needed, and how these services support caregivers, including those at a distance. You'll also learn what care management assessments look like, what these services cost, and how care managers help families navigate complex aging challenges with confidence. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I used to think healthcare was all the same until I discovered PACE at Senior TLC. Now I can come to a place to stay active, see the doctor, or just enjoy a meal with my friends. Plus, having a team of people that help me make sense of my options gives me the support I need to stay in charge of my own health. It's been life-changing.
With PACE at Senior TLC, we offer a unique lineup of personalized care and a caring staff that feels like family, all under one roof. Call today and find out how you can experience a different kind of care.
Welcome. I'm your host, Karen Summey, with ACAP Community and an active family caregiver. Today's broadcast is airing for the first time on Friday, February 6, 2026 at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. We're delighted you've joined us. Today, we're talking about care management for aging adults. My guest is Ms. Tracy Johnson, a registered nurse, care consultant, aging life care professional, certified dementia care practitioner, and CEO of Premier Care Management of Georgia. Tracy, welcome to First Fridays with ACAP. We're so delighted that you're here with us today providing your expertise.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Karen. It's a pleasure. We certainly love the ACAP community in our area and know what great resources it provides.
Thank you so much. We're delighted to have chapters in your area as well. Okay, let's dive into this great topic today. So, any of us who are caregivers know how hard it is to juggle all that needs to be done on any given day. Many of us are working a job while simultaneously setting appointments for parents, children, or other loved ones, as well as juggling our own. We're also completing caregiving tasks that we have very little experience or training in, making phone calls, writing emails or messages in patient portals, picking up prescriptions, ordering medical supplies, and the list goes on and on and on. So, you're here with us today about aging life care management. What exactly is an aging life care manager, and how is this different from other senior care services? What makes it unique?
Sure. Well, aging life care is a specialized field where there are individuals who have dedicated themselves to learning about seniors and the complexities that are involved in healthcare and just the entire aging process. We are members of the Aging Life Care Association, which requires a certain amount of education, experience, a certification, so that we're all kind of together on the body of knowledge that's needed to adequately care for seniors. And as an aging life care manager, many of us, if not all of us, really, at some point, we're a caregiver ourselves. And so we can empathize with families who are going through this, and yet to have a professional boundary where we're not involved in all of the emotions. So we can take care of a lot of the business of healthcare in a sense, and taking some of this responsibility off of families. We're organizers. We are resource kind of procurement. We help families to prioritize what is the important aspects at this moment. We're advocates in the hospital and even with insurance. We, in a sense, can become almost like an extension of your family as we get so involved in the personal aspect of healthcare and just living, for our seniors, whole, experience of what they're going through. Some have said we're like, a hired daughter or hired son, that has helped the family. But we do definitely maintain our professional status and add value. I think that's the big part. An aging life care manager should add great value to your family and your situation by helping you navigate through all the complexities that there are, and taking much of the burden off of the family caregiver.
That is a lot to do for a single person to manage. And I really like what you said about taking an objective approach, because how many of us get caught up in the emotions and all of the feels about what we're doing. And sometimes we may not do our best job just because we are so close to the situation. So I really like that about an objective approach. So, what are some warning signs that it might be time for families to reach out to a care manager? Are there common situations that you see?
Sure, sure. I think one of the most important things is to recognize at some point your aging parent or aging loved one is going to need to have some help. And you might be the person that needs to be delivering that help. Oftentimes we'll see family members that don't really accept the role. They don't receive that I'm the one that's supposed to help mom, or is going to help mom or dad.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
so it's important to like accept the role, and then do your best to work that situation, whatever it is, like helping with going to the doctor, helping with tasks around the house. Now that doesn't necessarily mean you need to do that, but help make sure that happens for your loved one. So some red flags or some signs that your parent might need help are when the message continues to be very repetitive or vague. Like they went to the doctor and you ask, well, what happened? And they really can't report back. They don't seem to have organized the thoughts on what the care piece is and what's needed, or follow-up appointments that the doctor has scheduled. It could be that they have had a fall recently, or have kind of mismanaged their medications. Those are two very big points where our seniors get into trouble, is medication errors and falls. Looking at just changes, right? Was mom or dad more kept personally, their hygiene and their appearance? Was there an organization to the home, and now the mail is piling up? Or is there some sort of a change that you can recognize that says this is not quite the way they've always been, and what could be going on? An aging life care manager is excellent at just even doing an assessment to be very objective and to tell you this is where your parent is right now, and these are the needs that they have. And sometimes just that third party professional kind of assessing with a totally unbiased view of history, but just what we're seeing today, and this is what the needs are. It can be very valuable. We call that kind of level of care. Like, what does this individual need right now? And aging life care managers are excellent at assessment.
Right. Okay. So you're talking about I suppose, a typical care management assessment. What does that actually look like, and what can families expect from that process?
Sure, sure. Well, it's comprehensive, right? So we're looking at not just them physically. I mean, we do head to toe assessments when we talk with people all the time, right? What's going on cognitively? How is their vision? How is their speech or their swallowing? How is their lung, heart? Head to toe kind of assessment. But we're also looking at things like home safety and their need for support for what we call instrumental activities of daily living, like paying bills and grocery shopping, meal preparation, doing the laundry, that sort of thing. We look at insurance. We look at their legal and financial kind of setup and offer resources there. It can be helping a family not just work through a crisis, but when we do the assessment, if we see something as high priority that could indicate a crisis is looming, then we prioritize all of that in our assessment. But if there's no real crisis and we're kind of just doing a kind of what I would say a run of the mill kind of assessment, then we're putting together what we call recommendations or based on the information that we've discovered on your situation, these are the priorities. These are the things that could be managed better. And, safety is always a top priority. So we'd look at the home or the environment where they're at, and we would make recommendations for what would make the environment more safe for them. Rather, we think of things like grab bars and lights. But, if someone's still driving, do they have a tile in their car where you could track and find that car? Do we have a camera on entrances and exits if that's an issue? So it's really personalized, but it's looked at many different domains for that individual.
That is very interesting. It sounds like an aging life care manager does a lot of activities. Tell me about how that works when adult children live a great distance from their parents, or really a short distance would work as well. How can care management services help with long distance caregiving?
Sure. Well, we see actually a lot of that. The son or daughter very concerned, but lives states away, and wants to make sure that mom or dad is checked in on and that they have their needs met. So I'd say that we are really a conduit for communication and in some ways organization of healthcare. So not only are we eyes and ears to see potential problems that are coming, but we can help the adult child who's in another state to see where the progression is. Like, we went to the doctor here,
Mm-hmm.
we're doing this. If they're in the hospital, oftentimes we can put them on FaceTime and let them participate with the doctor. So it's kind of building a bridge to keep them very well informed and letting them make some of the decision or many of the decisions. But we are a facilitator of that.
Wonderful. Well, all of this sounds really great, and I'm sure many people would love to take advantage of these services. But like everything else in life, we know that at some point someone has to be paid. So
Mhm.
let's talk about the money. What does care management typically cost, and how do families usually pay for these services?
Sure. So I think it depends on where you're at, right? So California, for example, is much higher in cost than, rural Kansas or, something like that. But on average, we are looking at about $125 an hour to about $200 an hour. And again, it depends on your region, but many times these are done in 6-minute or 15-minute increments. So it's not, just based on the whole hour, it's the increment of the hour. And there's usually a travel, fee associated with that. Many of the care management firms charge a travel fee. It is something that is paid for by many long-term care insurance policies, not all of them. So you have to review the policy to know that. And then, of course, we know that not all seniors have long-term care insurance. So it by and large falls as a private pay service. It does not get covered at this time underneath any, Medicare or any of those kind of private insurances. So it is mostly a private pay service. As far as how much it costs, depends on how much you're asking the care manager to do. So in the assessment, there is, what the recommendations are going to be or which direction the family wants to go. So we may, for an example, give them options, right? Staying at home, maybe with caregivers in the home. We would go over the pros and cons of that, right? There's a cost associated with private caregivers. There's a little bit more social isolation in comparison to like an assisted living facility. There's a different cost structure in the assisted living. So when we lay out the options for the family, if they decide, well, we'd like to keep mom at home, she wants that, and we want to do, caregivers in the home, then we can help set up the caregivers in the home, and we can help arrange for the care plan there. And we, in our particular firm, now there are some in the United States that do both home care and care management, but we would use a professional referral to a home care agency, and they would charge what the going rate is for their caregivers. And we would just kind of oversee that care and help make sure that that is going smooth. But we at Premier, we do not have our own like caregivers. We're not a home care company as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to really find out when you're going to work with a care management agency, what model do they use and
Mm-hmm.
how is that set up? So I don't know. Did I answer your question there as far as cost?
You did.
Yeah.
So I've noted it's important to ask what model an agency uses if you're trying to engage a care manager. Ask whether a person has a long-term care policy that perhaps may cover some of the fees. And it's partial hour increments that you might
Right.
receive some service. So while the hourly fee might be set at one amount, you may not use an entire hour at one time. So
Yeah.
that would be very helpful. And it depends on where you live. So does that kind of
That's
capture
it.
what
You
said?
got it, Karen. Yes.
Okay. Knowing that we would be talking about this today, I went online and tried to search for aging life care professionals through a standard online web search. At the top of the list, I found the Aging Life Care Association, which you mentioned, who certifies aging life care professionals. The closest care managers I could find in my area were 40 to 75 miles away, and there were only a handful of them at that. So are there additional job titles people should look for in a search, and how can a person find an aging life care manager?
Wow, that's a good question. We need more care managers. We do. I think that as far as different titles and things, having the Aging Life Care Association, which kind of certifies and ensures that there's a body of knowledge, is kind of the safest in a sense to know that you're getting someone really qualified. But it doesn't mean that there aren't other individuals out there that can help you. I think you just have to really thoroughly vet them and find out what their past experiences have been. If someone has just helped their grandmother, through a crisis or through a hospitalization, and now is deciding to call herself a care manager, that may not be someone that's going to provide the value that your family needs. But other names that we've seen are a care coordinator, a activity specialist, a health coach, a life coach. We've seen a dementia coach, but a lot of people have used that term as a dementia coach. And so it really, though, you just don't know what their background is without thoroughly vetting them to find out. But it is true that there are whole sections of the country that you cannot find an aging life care manager. And I sincerely hope that more people would look into this profession because it is
Absolutely. Needed. Right. Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much. We've talked a little bit about the long distance caregiver. So should care managers actually be near the care recipient, the caregiver, both, neither? How does that work? Can you do this well from a distance?
Well, that poses a really interesting question. And I think it's really an opinion, right? It's an opinion from different people. You might hear different things. The model, though, to see the senior in person, to do a in-person physical assessment, look at their environment, help, what is going on, is really important for many cases, right? It's important to see the client who has, for example, congestive heart failure. If there's, hands-on medication changes that need to happen with the care manager and helping, to teach the family and teach the client. In some cases, it's not. So I'll give you an example. We work across the country with folks who have long-term care insurance, right? Mm-hmm. And they need some assistance to open up their claims. In this particular situation, we can do it through Zoom. We can do it virtually. And we help them strategize. So a lot of folks don't know that the elimination period can have a strategy around it where you begin to bring in a help even once a week for certain policies. And that covers a whole week of their elimination period. So we work with families to help.
Explain that term for me, elimination period. What does that mean?
Sure, sure. So in all of the policies, there is a period of time where you need to pay for your care before the policy kind of
I
chips
see.
in. So it's like
Hmm.
almost a deduction. You can think of it, that
Okay,
you have to
perfect.
pay that deductible. And so, so in this case, if we get involved early in looking at it, we can help strategize getting that elimination period with the least amount of out-of-pocket cost. And so, for many families, doing this even a little bit in advance, if there was a fall or a hospitalization or anything that looked like some care was needed, even if it wasn't going to be ongoing. So it can be like an injury. It could be, a knee
Hmm.
surgery and they need some help for 6 weeks, 8 weeks. We can help strategize with their long-term care policy. So some situations can be managed virtually, and many
Hmm.
need to be in person. In our opinion, with what is needed with the family.
Okay. Sounds like the ideal situation is to have the care manager near the care recipient.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Well, this is all really valuable information for me and for many others, I'm sure. I would really like to thank you for volunteering your time and your expertise with our ACAP community audience today. And it's just so helpful when we get these topics online so that people can have a better experience with their caregiving journey. And I want to thank you, our listeners and our viewers. We really appreciate when you leave your comments on our broadcast. That tells us that the information we provide is useful to you in your caregiving journey. If you were surprised by any of this information or received even one especially helpful tip, we would love for you to include that in the comments section in the comments section below the video screen. You'll also see in our video notes how to contact Ms. Tracy Johnson and her company's services in the Metro Atlanta, Georgia area. And you may need to click the More link below your screen to expand all the notes that are down there for you in YouTube. If you haven't already done so, please be sure to click the like button to let us know how helpful this episode was. If you'd like to hear more of our broadcast, click the subscribe button as well. And please keep in mind that you can share today's podcast with family and friends by clicking the share button. We also want to say thank you to Senior TLC, formerly known as Pace at Home in Newton, North Carolina, for sponsoring our First Fridays with ACAP and our Caregiver Community audio podcast, and to Every Age, our sustaining partner. You can access the video version on our YouTube channel at ACAP Community and our audio version through the Mesh Caregiver Community on any platform where you listen to podcasts. If you're interested in in-person programming in your community, we have a rapidly growing number of local chapters offering monthly programs. You can find more information on that on our website as well. Please join us again on Friday, March 6, 2026 for our next episode. Until next time, be well and bye for now.